So we have arrived. Those that are here, those that are there, and for anyone who may be, getting through, just take a few moments to really be in your space, be in your body. Whilst I just get one more person in who I have lost. Breathing, settling. Noticing into your body. Notice your body and all that it brings this morning. Okay. Taking a moment to scan through your body from the head, from your head, all the way down to your feet. Notice any areas amongst your journey, along your journey, that you might find comfortable, that you might find at ease. Notice any areas of tightness that will inevitably become louder when you notice. And send some breath, the out breath, to energize and relax those areas that are tight. Relishing in those areas that are relaxed or at ease, if you can find them, because they are there. They're there. We don't often acknowledge them. So spend some time just basking in those spaces of ease and relaxation. Knowing that in our noticing, knowing in our body, scanning in our connection, it's the loudest aspect of our body that gets the notice. The loudest aspect that we spend most time on. Be with that area that may be challenging and flip over to that area that is at ease, quieter, gently settled in the background. And expand your awareness and know that there is room for both. There is room for those areas of ease and free-flowing energy, as well as areas of, hi Paige, of challenge and tightness. Know as you lie down, as you ease down, you take all of that into account. Your body as a whole. We like to focus and draw in the good parts or the easeful parts, those parts that flow, and discount the others. But we're expanding that awareness, we're expanding our capacity to cultivate acceptance for everything that's here. And being in your breath as it comes and as it goes. Maybe placing a hand on the belly or the chest, wherever you feel the breath flowing in. The first place that you feel it. If you feel it on the nose, you might even like to bring your hand up there or not, or just become aware of that part. Deepening the exhalation Giving the permission for that out breath to flow out and really let go. And then movement into fingers, into toes. Get some sense of energy flowing down to those extremities. As you reach up and overhead, expanding, lengthening, and softening, easing. And taking a few more expansive, lengthening stretches where you stretch the arms and stretch the toes in the opposite direction. If you're on a bolster, rolling off the bolster. And stretching once again. Stretching and lengthening. And softening and easing. And widening the hands, widening the arms and widening the feet. Stretching away with the right fingertips and the left toes and foot stretching in the opposite direction. Diagonally across the body. And soften all four limbs. Now activating the left hand. Fingertips on the left. The toes on the right. And aim to keep the other two limbs relaxed. And softening. And once more to each side. Right hand, left foot. Jaw and mouth. Tongue and eyes at ease and relaxed. And softening and swapping over to the other side. And easing, softening away. And bending the knees, hugging the knees in toward the chest. And some movement from side to side. Massaging your back in whatever way is comfortable for you. Moving in circles, maybe. Maybe it's side to side that works best for you. You'll know. And when you know and notice, please make the adjustments that your body is asking for. And just slow that movement, moving with one knee, maybe the right to begin, making circles with the right knee. And reversing circles in the opposite direction. Belly to the spine into the floor for stability. Jaw relaxed, shoulders at ease. And work to the left. And it's often these muscles of the face and the shoulders, they want to get in on the action and get tight without us even realising. So to always draw your attention to those areas that you know are tight for you, moving in the opposite direction with that left knee. So any posture that we move into can have your face engage tightly, your shoulders engage. So be aware of that. And hug the knees into the chest and drawing the forehead up toward the knees. And soften back. And when you next draw the forehead up, you might like to support the head maybe. If your head and neck needs a little bit more support. And back down. And we'll do one more. Hugging the knees in and chin tucking in, forehead toward the knees. And softening. And drawing the feet up towards the sky. And gently, with the legs as straight as is comfortable, bobbing the legs towards the body. And as you do that, massaging behind the legs. We're ever so slowly and gently waking up this part of the body. And maybe slow that movement to really give some warmth and nurturing to the back of the knees, the back of the calves, wherever you can reach. Good for you if you can reach your toes or your hips. Wherever you reach, just warm it up. And once more, gently bobbing the legs towards the body. Just bobbing and moving, breathing and knowing as the legs come towards the body, as they come perhaps closer to the body, you might find that the breath naturally flows out as you bob towards the body. Perhaps it encourages the breath to flow out of the body. Just notice what's happening with your breath. Notice if you're holding your breath. The hamstrings can be tight. They're usually tight for most people. And now as close to your body as feels comfortable, become static in that stretch, massaging once more behind the legs. Breathing out as well as in. And toes back toward the sky and pointing and flexing. Bringing movement into the front of the leg and the back. And in circles. Toes making circles on the skyline in one direction and in the other, or in whatever wacky direction your feet are going, that's fine, just as long as they're moving. And once more, heels to the sky. Notice the breath. Toes to the sky. Breathing whilst you're doing so. And softening the legs for a bit of a shake. Shaking them out. Letting the arms engage a full tantrum. Draw in your 2 and 3-year-old self, or your 40-year-old self, 50-year-old self. And let the legs go. Just give in. The breath maybe naturally flows out. When we release the effort. And once more, stretching up overhead, interlacing the fingers this time, and pushing away with the heels. Pushing the heels, pushing the palms, extending and softening. We'll do one more like that. Again, only if that works. This is an invitation, pushing the hands away, pushing the heels away, pushing, 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 breathing, 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 and softening, softening, softening. And bending the knees and rolling over towards the camera, towards the whatever device you're looking at me in, or in person, and come up into sitting when it works for you. And crossing the legs. And for you with your back, you might at any time want to just pop something underneath your tail, even if it's a blanket. That might even just be enough just to give you a bit of a prop to sit as comfortably upright, working with comfort. And with the legs crossed, either crossed like this or crossed in front or a little bit in front, in whatever way works for you. And to draw first the left hand up towards the sky and bending over towards the right, pushing both sit bones into the floor and encouraging that stretch along the right side of the body. Fingers reaching. Doesn't matter how far you go, just as long as the breath flows. And over to the other side, so down with the right, reaching down with the left, reaching up with the right and over. And pushing the sit bones into the floor. And noticing this stretch from the sit bones all the way to the fingertips, anywhere in between. Breathing here. This seems so simple but can be so deep. Coming back to centre, reaching up and over. Pushing in, opening up the lungs on the left side. So the left lung increases in its capacity and the right is a bit more restricted here. And moving to the other side, really reaching out of the spine before over. Again, doesn't matter how far you go, just as long as your body feels the edge, not over the edge. Breathing out as well. And coming back to center and rolling in through the shoulders. And the opposite way. Placing the hands on the floor in front of you, or fingers, or in the direction of the floor, and walking your hands away from your body. And knowing you go as far as it works for you this morning, and be in wherever that is, leading with the heart and the breath. Knowing hips hold as we fold. There we go. I've got a bit of Dr. Seuss on channeling. And as you relax into this position, actually relax might not be the right word, but as you settle into this position, you might find that the body gives way a little bit, enough to allow your fingers to just walk a tiny bit, micro centimetre forward. And ease and breathe. And walking out over now to the right side. And if you'd like to take that left hand on the right to extend the stretch, do so, or not. Again, whatever works for you, for your body. I'll give options, so you work with what you need. Breathing here as you go back through center. And now over to the left. And maybe one hand on top of the other. Or maybe not. Notice where you feel this here. And come back to center. And walking back into starting. Let me give the hips a bit of a massage. We're going to be swapping over the legs, crossing the opposite in front, the unfamiliar leg. And with this, we'll just walk forward again. I say just as though it's little, but I mean we will walk our hands forward. Just creates a sense of minimising this stretch, but it can be working quite deeply. And now over to the right side. Notice where you feel it, drawing breath and energy into that area of stretch and tightness. Coming back to center and over to the other side. And notice too which side feels more easeful, has more stretch or less. Just notice what you notice. Allowing any judgment about that as we go to center. Any judgment about that to be noticed and dropped away. Easing the legs down, out, forward, and a bit of a shake. Widening the feet slightly to draw the toes in and out. Bit of a flop back and forward. I'm not going to throw anything fancy in because I know that I won't be able to do it so much. Like 1 foot in, 1 foot out. I don't know. Let's just give it a bit of a shake. Shaking the legs. But we will bring our brains into our body here. Just scrunch the toes and extend the fingers. Scrunching the fingers and extending the toes. Toes scrunch, fingers open, and reverse. Reverse. I wish I had a bigger screen to be able to see everyone concentrating so tightly on this one. And let it go. Shaking it out. We're moving on to hands and knees. Now this will be going into 2 versions of downward dog. So if you're finding that, what I might do is I might just talk you through it first, so you know the options. So we're working with the in-breath. I'll just talk you through first. And as we come down, we go into the extended pose of the child and up into cat. So we're going back and forward here. Actually, we'll all do this together. Breathing the breath in. And as we collapse down, the breath flows out. And when the body needs to breathe in, it's inflated back into cat. So we're using the breath. As we exhale the breath, the body collapses down. When the body needs to breathe in, there's the inflation that naturally comes, it naturally moves the body. So taking a few in your own breath, knowing that your breath will be different from mine, faster, slower. Inflating when you need, and deflating when the body needs to breathe out. And when you next inflate, come up to cat. Just be in your breath for a moment. And if you choose, if your body is working with you to move into downward dog, do so. Otherwise, when we go up, you just stay where you are, tucking the toes under and tail up towards the sky. And exhaling down into cat once more. Taking your breath in and exhaling out. Inhaling up all the way into downward dog if your body is able to do that this morning. And the exhale as you come down and you collapse back down into the forward bend. So again, working with your breath in your speed, whatever works for you. As you breathe in, you come up. As you breathe out, you collapse down. And this just gives the body a chance to slowly move into these postures, using the breath, using the body's capacity to inflate itself and support and deflate and let go. When you next come up into downward dog or into cat, whichever upward position's working for you this morning, if you're in downward dog, be on your toes and pedaling the feet down. And if you're in cat, you might like to inflate into cat and deflate into the floor position where that we were doing before. So when you're in cat, you're inflating. When you're in extended pose of the child with the tail to the heels, you're deflating. And if you're in downward dog, you're pedaling your feet and coming onto the toes and bending the knees deeply, bending the elbows, and inhaling if you're in the upward position on the toes, and exhaling down, bending knees, bending the elbows. Last time, inhaling, releasing the knees, untucking the toes, and coming to rest on 2 fists in whichever position you're in. Head resting, the breath flowing and regenerating, re-establishing itself in its natural rhythm. And preparing to come up into standing, tucking the toes under, pushing back towards the heels, rolling the body up. into standing. And for you, perhaps the roll isn't going to be so good for your back, is it? Yeah. So come up in whichever way works for your back today. Extending the arms up and overhead. And as we were lying, reaching one side, reaching the other. And coming onto the toes, one side and the other. Actually, I don't think we did this one lying down. We'd be in a starfish if we were doing the stretching there. And lowering the heels, interlacing the hands and turning the palms away as we did lying down. Tucking the tail under and breathing. Fingertips reaching, lengthening, stretching, breathing, and let it go. And at this point, we realised we weren't perhaps breathing. Shaking it out. Now on the knees that are bent, or the feet that are flat, come a bit further forward, the feet that are flat. Allow the knees to bend, but the arms to be as relaxed and at ease as possible. Maybe this is the floor. Oh yeah, this is the stable floorboard. I'm just moving off to one side. Oh no, this maybe not. Anyway, so the knees bend, and any creaking that you hear might be you, but it may be me, or it might be the floorboards underneath me. Oh gosh, it's really getting loud, isn't it? Better. And to widen the feet and bend the knees and move from side to side. And maybe with the body hanging forward a little bit, you get to really let the arms go. This has been something we've worked with this last few terms, and it's such a challenge. It seems so easy to move the knees, but to let the shoulders, to let the arms be completely without action, it's tricky. Maybe it's just tricky with me, but I certainly know to be able to give way, to let go, maybe even changing a bit of a speed, like changing your knee speed, and see what happens with the arms. And if they start to really become wacky altogether, you know you're not controlling them, they're just flopping away. And slow that movement once again. Just slowing. And slowing and coming into a standstill. Keeping the feet together, heel to toe, and find a comfortable standing position. Be in your body for a moment of stillness, where the breath flows naturally and the body is planted firmly into the floor, the feet even in the weight, the toes to the heels. One foot, once the inside of the foot to the outside of the foot even. The length that comes with Tadasana, the mountain pose, as our crown lifts. Be in your breath, in the inhalation and the exhalation. To blink the eyes open, work with a breath called the Tibetan breath, where we slowly inflate one side of the lungs and then deflate, and then slowly inflate the other side of the lungs and then deflate. And I'll show you again what that looks like. There's a wide-ish stance, enough that we can move the weight from one foot to the other. So you can move from one side to the other. So with this breath, and I'll just do one round, I'll show you what it looks like. There's the full exhalation. And as we shift the weight over to the right, there's the inhalation, the opening up, one arm extending up and the other slightly extending. So we've got a straight line from fingertip to fingertip. So when there's been the increase, the body inflates, the breath inflates, the arm increases in height. We'll do this to the count of 7. And as you exhale, again, that's to 7. And then we shift weight to the left side. And there's the inhale and moving to the left. So this conserves the breath. It's quite a slow and measured breath. So finding first where your feet can shift from side to side comfortably. Exhaling the breath. As you inhale, lifting up with the right, drawing up, and pausing here for a moment. And as you exhale, taking the time for that hand to come down, back to starting. And I'll count us through to 7. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Holding just for a moment. As we exhale, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Pausing, inhaling, fullness coming in, 4, 5, 6, 7. Pausing here for 3, 2, 1. Exhaling, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Pausing for 3, 2, 1. Inhaling, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Pausing for 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Exhaling, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Pausing for 7. 3, 2, 1. Inhaling over to the right. 4, 5, 6, 7. And holding for 7. Exhaling, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Pausing for 7. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Weight to the left. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Extending that bottom hand out, ensuring that the hips are on a single plane. Exhaling, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Pausing for 7. And doing this in your own time for 2 full rounds, using your breath. When you finish your final round, in whatever time frame that takes, coming back into Tadasana, be in the flow of breath that is natural, free, and notice your body as the breath inflates and deflates. After the intentional practice of moving into one lung and the other, we're now focusing on both lungs at the same time. And to blink the eyes open and feet comfortably wide for some helicopter swings where we move into the back. Again, only doing what works for your morning's body. As the arms come up to shoulder height. And move towards the sky as we sweep the ceiling. Breathing, sweeping, cobwebbing. As you come down to shoulder height, that spring cleaning that we often kind of cringe to do. Again, maybe that's me. down to hip height. And to find that slow and stable space once again. Back into Tadasana once again. And closing the eyes or allowing the gaze to lower. As you're once again in that stillness. Reminding ourselves that we can move into this position out of the slipstream of life at any time. Blinking the eyes open. And if it works for your body to roll the body down, do so, one vertebrae at a time. We're going toward the floor, so whatever works for your body to get there comfortably without extending beyond your edge, do so. Bending the knees to come into sitting. Bringing the foot soles together and coming onto the sitting bones. We're rocking from side to side. Massage, crunching, rounding the back. So we move further to the back of the buttocks, the belly into the spine, supporting here. And back to center. Bringing the elbows in front of the legs, one of the shins, so in the direction of. As you move forward, as you rock. Again, only if this works for you. Yeah. Always listening into your body. And coming back up to center. And to settle that movement. And move once more onto the sit bones. So we can slip into feathering where the knees find their rhythm. Or the knees begin to express our internal rhythm. Your eyes might be closed or lowered. This is a good way to really slow down at any time through the day. When life becomes, in the way that it always is, busy and doing, this really just gives us a quiet space to settle at any time we need it. And to slow that movement, drawing the knees in and flip-flopping from side to side. And coming into the front of the mat, rolling along the floor. And if your back needs to roll from side to side or move from side to side, do that. So rolling from the front of the mat, rolling, holding onto the toes or the feet, rolling along the mat. Noticing and embracing any flat spots. And after a few rolls, crossing the legs in the opposite way. And you might like to come to rest on the shoulders. If your body would like a little bit more of a stretch here. And then coming onto the back with the legs crossed, holding onto the top of the feet and drawing the toes towards the tail. Just stretching the top of the feet. Breathing and letting go. And then crossing the legs in the opposite way. And again, toes pushing down towards the tail. And letting go and rolling and rocking up into sitting. Sorry, excuse me here, coughing away. And coming into a comfortable cross-legged position. You might like to put something underneath your tail to keep the length without collapsing and rounding the back. We'll work with the classic yoga mudra where the pointer is into the pad of the thumb. The back is lengthened. And the eyes for a moment are closed. Shoulders at ease and relaxed. Focus on your body in its entirety, from the head all the way down to the toes. Notice the breath that flows through your body. And with the eyes either open or closed, inhaling, sweeping the floor, fingers up to shoulder height, softening elbows and wrists with the palms facing out. Exhaling forward, crossing the arms behind. As we first acknowledge the wonder of the body in which we travel in. All of the aspects of the body that we're living in. The wonder that it works as it does. The acknowledgement of its limitations and its strengths. All that it brings us and all of the messages that it sends us. Acknowledging the wonder of your physical body. Inhaling, coming up, sweeping up, palms facing out. Exhale, returning to starting once more. Inhaling, arms reaching and softening. Exhale, sweeping forward and acknowledging our mind, our capacity to think and problem solve, make decisions, to cognitively work through the rights and the wrongs, the do's and the don'ts of our life. Acknowledging your mind. Inhaling, coming up and soften. Exhale, sweeping back to starting. third and final time, sweeping the arms up with the breath. Crossing the arms back with the exhalation. And breathing here freely as we bow this final time to acknowledge our emotions. The emotions that we sit with, the emotions that come and go, those that we'd like to be around for a little bit longer, and also those guests that stay and outstay their welcome. And know that our emotions are what moves us and motivates us. Embracing all, making all emotions welcome. They all have some part to play. Inhale, coming up. Exhale, sweeping back to starting. Softening the elbows and the wrists. Closing the eyes once again. To notice your body, your thinking mind, and your emotions, all housed within you. Blinking the eyes open and moving into the spine twist from sitting. You might like to adjust, make the movements that you need to feel more comfortable. The spine lengthened and straight. Looking first over the right shoulder, drawing the right arm up to shoulder height, lengthening towards the sky, the right hand placing on the left knee. Looking over the left, drawing up with the left, and following your hand as far as it can to place behind the back of the palm on the small of the back, reaching the fingertips in the direction of the leg on the right. Being in your wondrous body. The sit bones planted firmly, your base secure in your foundation, close to the earth. And your crown as it lifts and extends skyward. Working towards your highest aspirations. And to come out, head, shoulders, hands, returning to starting once more. Closing the eyes and draw an easy breath in. And sighing the breath away, flooding the breath as light all through the body. Blinking open once again. Looking first to the left, drawing the left arm up to shoulder height. Lengthening towards the sky, out of the spine, and placing on the right knee. Looking towards the right, drawing up with the right and following the fingertips all the way as far as they can go, and placing on the small of the back. Lengthening, straightening, the spine is elongated and one vertebrae stacks upon the other, skyward, supporting you. The spine that allows for our communication, that central point of communication from your body to your mind, and your mind back to your body. And that super highway that travels from the body and coming out, head, shoulders, hands, returning once more to starting. Closing the eyes to draw an easy breath in. And sighing the breath away. Letting it flow to fingers and toes. And if you have an obstacle, remove that from beneath you. bending the knees, rounding the back. To really let the spine decompress. And rolling down. Again, anything that's on the mat, removing that, rolling the body down. And taking a moment to be on your back and just giving. It may for you be more comfortable to have the knees bent or straight. For now, be in the noticing of your physical body. As we focus on the emotional center, you might like to place your hands there on the area around the navel, the solar plexus. With every breath that we take in, the breath that is filled with life, prana energy, the yogic energy that draws down into the belly, into the navel area, and is stored in the solar plexus. This plexus of nerves around the navel is like a sun. It's where the vagus nerve finds its way from the cranial nerve all the way down to the belly. It's like a sun beneath the navel, the solar plexus. So to focus our energy and our intention on free-flowing energy of our emotions as we work into the wedge, set to a sun, bending the knees and drawing the knees in toward the chest. Trailing the hands to the ankles and placing the feet on the floor. And being aware of what's occurring and any sensitivities that you might have in your back. When we bring our body up off the floor, tighten the muscles of the buttocks to support the back. So when you inhale, tighten the muscles of the buttocks, pushing on the feet, engaging the muscles of the thighs, coming onto the toes. Again, if this is challenging for your back this morning, come down onto the floor and hug the knees into the chest. Interlacing the hands to come high on the shoulder blades. And perhaps supporting the tail if you'd like, or under the small of the back, if that works for you. And allowing your belly to breathe itself, and noticing your belly button or your navel area. Emotions flowing in and flowing out, ebb and flow. When you're ready, pushing on the feet, releasing the hand, rolling the body down along the floor, and once more hugging the knees into the chest. Whatever you need for the body to move, to the body to release the back or soften, support the back, rocking, moving. And to do our focus upon our creative center from lying, bringing the feet up towards the ceiling. So we're moving into Paschimottanasana, but a version of that where we lie down and focus on our reproductive area, our area where we energetically recreate ourselves, literally, but energetically we create all that we'd like to manifest in our life in this area. So gently with the legs straight or bent, pulsing the legs toward the body. it works for you to bend the knees slightly or fully, do so. You just rock forward and back toward the body until you find a position where the thighs come in contact with your torso. And it may be that the knees are bent heavily. The knees may be bent slightly. And slow that movement and pause here with the knees coming in, or the thighs coming in contact with the body. So maybe bending the knees quite deeply. So focusing now upon the area of the solar plexus, that belly button's navel area. Creating the lock on the first of our endocrine glands. This is a lock position where we allow for the energy to build up behind this energy center during the lock. And as we release, straightening the legs towards the sky, there's a flush of energy and a flush of blood supply through the energy center and the endocrine center here, nourishing, supporting and refreshing. Bending the knees and coming onto remaining on the back as we move into the bandhas from a lying position. With this, we widen the feet and the knees resting upon one another. Sarah, you might like to move the mat a little bit so you can see or not. That might be helpful for you. Yeah. So as we move into this posture, this is what we traditionally do standing up, where we exhale all of the breath and create a lock. But when we lie, we also exhale all the breath, but the belly pushes down to the floor. And in the absence of the breath, belly up and under the rib cage. So interlacing the hands behind the head, the feet firmly planted on the floor and the knees supporting one another, resting upon one another. Inhale the breath fully. Exhaling through the mouth, letting it all go. Without breath, belly to the spine, up and under the rib cage, tucking the chin in, supporting the head. In the absence of breath here, where we get to nurture and massage all of our digestive system. Staying as long without breath as it works for you. When the body needs to breathe in, it will draw in and relax the body down when it needs to. And let the flow of breath be natural for a moment or two. Releasing the spent breath for the second of two. Inhaling, filling the lungs completely. And exhaling through the mouth. All of the breath out, belly back to the spine, up and under the rib cage, tucking in the chin and drawing the lower lock in, pulling up your pelvic floor, the anal muscles. So this allows for us to get in touch with when we've had enough, when we are full, when we've had all that we need. And when you need to draw in breath, do so. A few natural breaths here. Releasing the breath. Inhaling fully through the nose. Holding for a moment in the fullness and the out breath. Belly to the spine, up and under the rib cage. Tucking in the chin. holding as long as your body allows, with this squeeze on the pancreas, particularly the islets of Langerhans, so we can have the optimum insulin expression, so we can use the energy that we need. And when you're ready, straightening out the legs and just giving in, just letting go, letting flow for a breath or two. Preparing to roll over, extending the right arm up overhead, bending the opposite knee, and rolling the body over onto the belly. And moving, rocking and rolling onto the mat. And resting for a moment with the head to one side. Notice the breath as it flows, as the belly pushes into the floor, lifting the back. This is where we notice that the breath is deep. Moving into the version of the bow. We'll give you two variations, one that will be kind on a challenged back, and one that maybe you might move into if your back feels ready. So this variation is the locust, where the grasshopper, where the palms are underneath the thighs, the forehead's on the floor. So when we move into the bow, we're pushing up with the head, pushing the thighs. Is that variation, or if you'd like to move into the bow. So first, coming out of any variation you're in, and we'll move in together. If you're moving into the bow, you're holding onto the ankles or the thigh or the area of the toes or the pants. Shoulder blades coming together. Inhaling, pushing up, lifting up. If you're in the bow, pushing the hands into the feet, shoulder blades coming together, determined and focused, and breathing. Only staying as long as it works for you. And giving in, letting go, letting the legs go. The head resting to one side. Moving into the heart center, widening the feet. The forehead coming to the floor. Hands resting on the floor by the shoulders, on the elbows tucking in. Into the cobra. Inhale, looking up, pushing on the floor, reaching up into whichever variation works for you. The arms can be as straight or as bent as your body needs. Tightening the muscles of the buttocks so the back is supported. Shoulders are down and away from the ears. Focusing in your heart and your capacity to receive. Know that you can receive first in equal portions of what you give, and to be mindful of that balance. And exhaling down, rolling the body down to the ribs, chin tucking under. Palms reaching towards the sky or facing towards the sky. Bending the knees and flip-flopping from side to side with the feet. Releasing the back. Lowering the legs. Extending the right hand Pushing on the left and rolling the body onto the back. And hugging the knees into the chest. How are you going there? Yeah, you sure?
Yeah.
Okay.
The variation.
Yeah. And rocking from side to side and really nurturing the back. And in whatever variation works for you, we'll be going into the shoulder stand. I'll talk us through the full shoulder stand, but there's also variations where the feet are towards the sky, the hands under the head and the chin tucking in. But for the full shoulder stand, I can talk us through. So work with whatever works for your body this morning. Feet towards the sky, the full shoulder stand. Inhaling the breath. As you exhale, legs behind the head, not moving the neck in this position. Interlacing the hands to straighten the arms. Supporting the back. And floating the legs up towards the sky. And being in the breath as the breath travels in and out. The candle pose that we're in, which is the pose of tranquility and peace, in so much as it allows us to balance our energies. If you're in the shoulder stand, to come out, feet down behind the head, releasing the arms, straight with the arms, and rolling the body down along the floor. Legs coming into their resting position and finding that ease as you just give in. Just giving way. Drawing the right ear toward the shoulder on the right. Pulling away with the right shoulder. The left ear towards the floor on the left and pulling away with that shoulder. And coming back to center. And lifting the head up to look between the feet. And peeling the neck back down along the floor. Just giving in. When you're ready to come up into sitting, do so. In whatever way works for you, perhaps the hands in prayer position, coming up into sitting or behind the small of the back, or rolling into sitting in whichever way that works for you. As we come into the final posture, moving into the elephant. It's coming on to hands and knees, or the variation that works for you. We've worked with the dolphin from last week. In whichever way works for you, we're getting the crown towards the floor. So if downward dog is a challenge for you, this is also going to be a challenge. So be mindful of your back. Tucking the toes under if you're coming into the elephant. Pushing the tail towards the sky. Widening the feet. Drawing the feet, heels toward the floor, only in the direction. Ensuring that the head and the neck is free. And the crown is allowed to dip toward the floor naturally. Here the blood supply comes to the head, the hair follicles, nurturing the eyes, the small muscles around the eyes, blood supply to the ear, the face, all aspects of this top end of our body. Coming out, looking towards the hands, taking the feet together, knees towards the floor, untucking the toes. And the head now once again resting on two fists. And noticing the breath as it's deep in the belly once again. And in this position, you might notice the belly, the deep breathing in the lower lobes of the lungs as the belly expands and contracts. Coming up into sitting. Rolling the shoulders, moving in one direction and moving the other direction. Looking over the right shoulder, and then again with the left. Back to center, the right ear towards the shoulder, dropping away with the left. I'd like to put that hand behind your back even to extend that stretch. And coming to the other side, left ear to the left, and dropping away with the right. Maybe bringing that behind. Coming back to center, another little bit of a shake and a rattle and roll, and lying your body down for just a few moments. Just a few moments of ease. Getting warm, getting comfortable. You warm enough there, Sue?
Yes,
right. Yeah. Finding this space where you are just giving yourself the permission that you need. The body calibrating all of the work that it's done. Be in your breath. Now feeling into the toes. Drawing your breath down into the toes and creating some movement in the toes. And the breath flowing down to the fingertips. Drawing the fingertips into movement. And when you're ready, bringing the arms up and overhead, stretching and lengthening fingers, toes, opposite direction. And releasing down, hugging the knees into the chest. And rolling over to one side. Supporting the head. And taking a pause before sitting. And coming up into a comfortable sitting position. Drawing the arms beside the body. Gathering all of the energy we've shared between the palms overhead into prayer position. Drawing down to the point of the heart. The thumbs in toward the heart, giving yourself a connection with your heart center. And the connection with the group that we've shared this morning. And thank you so much for joining with all of its tech hiccups.